friends, welcome back to my channel. Filming a really late intro to a vlog is weird because you're talking about the vlog, you're introducing the vlog to someone who's about to watch it, but most of the things that you are going to share have already happened. So hi, it is Tuesday morning. I am filming an introduction to a vlog that starts sometime over the weekend, maybe Friday, maybe Saturday. So here's what happens this weekend. On Friday evening, after spending a really fun day, a lot of self-care, a lot of just hanging out by myself, reading, and just enjoying the day, hanging out with my family. My husband and I, my husband was on vacation from school. He was on, what do you call it, midwinter recess, I think. Yeah, so he was off, but my daughter went to school, so we went to pick her up together. And we left from there, we went to Chick-fil-A, we got some dinner, we hung out. We came home and hung out and we had a fantastic time. And towards the end of our meal, I got a phone call from my brother saying that my dad was not well. He was in the hospital and he may have gotten a stroke. So suffice it to say, the weekend went off very strange. I had already made some commitments at church. So I went to church on Saturday, fulfilled my obligations, and told almost nobody, I told nobody my concern about my dad because I was just so scared. You know, when you're scared to acknowledge how you feel, so you don't talk about it, pretend that you don't feel that way, because if you don't talk about it, then maybe it's not really happening. That was me on Saturday. And Sunday morning, I woke up and I was just terrified. But on my way to go visit my mother-in-law along with my husband and my daughter, my brother called, and he called from my father's hospital bed. And he put me on video chat and I was able to see my dad, and like the floodgates just opened. So at that point, only at that point, well, maybe an hour or so before, because we had a Zoom meeting for some of our leaders from our church, of which I'm a part of that group. And I had shared with them what was going on, my thoughts and my concerns, and we had prayed together and I had started to feel better. And when my brother called and he put my dad on video chat and I was able to talk to him, my spirit lifted. Like I felt so much better. Like there are no words to describe the freedom from anguish when you have been like consumed with a thought, and then you realize that you don't need to be in that thought right now because the thing that you are most concerned about isn't really happening right now. So my dad is still not well. He's still in the hospital. We don't know what's going to happen, how much, like if there's any deficit, if there's any long-term effects. We don't know. But for right now, I've been able to talk to him on video a couple of times. I want to be able to go see them, but I just submitted my daughter's passport to be renewed. So I don't know when that will come back. I don't know what happens moving forward in the very immediate future. But for right now, I know that I'm okay. He's okay. My mother and my brother are taking care of him, and they are working with the medical professionals to just make sure that he gets back home and that we have more happy times together. That is my number one prayer. That is the thing that I said to my family when they dropped us off at the airport when we were there last May. I said, take care of yourselves. We want to come back next year and have more happy times together. And so they are working on that. And so for right now, I didn't read much this weekend. I read some because books are how sometimes I immerse myself into a place where I can be distracted, where I can be lost. My daughter does that for me. You know, she is young, she's playful. There's a lot about illness that she still doesn't understand. She knows Grandpa's in the hospital. She was able to talk to him and she prayed for him. So right now, that's all that we can do. And so we are just trying to keep ourselves with a positive mind and do everything that we can to just support those who are physically giving care to my dad. So that's what's been going on. So over the weekend, these are the books. These are the books for the weekend. I want to make progress on this. I want to read this and I'll tell you why. And I also want to read this and I'll tell you why. And I have some BookTube prize books that I want to catch up on. I want to finish one more book. I started reading it on Friday. I want to see if I can finish it by Monday night or Tuesday so that I can include it in this vlog, which is tongue-in-cheek because like I said, I'm filming this later. I already know whether I finished it like I said I would. In any case, aside from that, I'm also reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I'm buddy reading that, and we're maybe about 2/3 of the way in, so I have a couple more check-ins with the buddies. So that's the weekend of reading ahead. Stay tuned for what goes on. So I got some books from Penguin Random House. They are always so good to me. I got this package and this box. I opened the box just in the interest of time, but I didn't look at the books. I don't know what they are, so let's see them together. First is a memoir. This is Bibliophobia by Sarah Chihaya. And this author is from Queens, New York, an Asian woman. And let's see what this is about. Books can seduce you, they can annihilate, reveal, and provoke you, and anyone incurably obsessed with books, Sarah Chihaya believes, has this kind of unsettling literary encounter. She calls books that have this effect life ruiners. Her life ruiner, Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. So I'm excited to read that one. Here's another book, Original Sins by Eve L. Ewing. Okay, Eve is writing about the original sin, the miseducation of Black and Native children and the construction of American racism. And there's no picture of the author. Okay, so it says, why don't our schools work? Despite seemingly endless efforts at reform, reinvention, and closing the racial achievement gap, Eve L. Ewing asks a new question. What if schools are doing exactly what they were built to do? If all children could just get an education, the logic goes, they would have the same opportunities in adulthood. But this tour de force shows that the opposite is true. Instead of being the great equalizer, the school system prepares children to expect unequal treatment throughout their lives. In this book, Ewing demonstrates that our schools were historically envisioned to propagate the myth of white intellectual superiority, to civilize Native students, and to prepare Black students for menial labor. This is one that I am interested to check out. It's about 360 pages, but the last 70 or so pages just bibliography. So the text, the readable text, ends at page 270, so that should not take me too long to read. Hope to get to that pretty soon. And then this one is Blackwood's Blue Sky. This is a novel by Eowyn Ivey. This is the author picture. It says she was raised in Alaska and she lives there with her husband and 2 daughters. And this is a novel. The synopsis says this is a return to the mythical landscapes of Alaska with an unforgettable dark fairy tale that asks the question, can love save us from ourselves? Okay, so you know, I don't like to read fiction synopses too much about them, especially if I'm going to be reading them pretty soon. So this is the first 3. Let's see what the next package has in store. This one is going to be released on February 25th. Oh, I think it's 2 books. Oh, first is Dark Fever. This is by Karen Marie Moaning. So this, Karen Marie, that's my name. I'm not the author, but one of my middle names is Marie. So Karen Marie Moaning. And let's see what the other book, there's more. Oh, Fae Fever. Oh, it's a series, the Fever book series. So this is book 1, this is book 3, and I'm assuming book 2 is also here. Book 2, Blood Fever. Okay, so you know, I don't read a lot of series. I don't read a lot of, I'm thinking maybe fantasy, I don't know. But I couldn't resist the opportunity to read a book by someone whose first 2 names are Karen Marie. So I'll be checking those out. So thank you so much to the publishers for having sent me these books. I'm looking forward to getting to them very soon.
When you're done, right?
It is Friday, February 21st, and I just started Roman Year by Andrea Assiman. I found the author to be quite fascinating. parentheses, redacted. I'm sorry, I can't tell you more about the book because I'm reading it to judge the BookTube Prize. This is one of the books that have been assigned to me for the octafinals round of the BookTube Prize. So come back in early April where I'll be able to share my thoughts on the books as a whole, all the books that I read for this round, as well as how I rank them. So that video will be coming soon. I hope you join me for it then.
We'll have another dog.
So we both have something to unbox today. The kiddo just got a new Barbie. And I have another package from my giveaway that I won on Instagram.
Aww.
It is a beautiful blanket. And let's think. The manufacturer is Kisa. And I'm not familiar with this brand, but it does say it's 100% cotton, and I am so loving it. Like, it looks like a huge bath towel. It may actually be a towel. Oh, okay, now that I think about it, it is a towel.
Mommy.
But I think I may also use it as a throw just because I feel like it works perfectly.
Mommy,
yes, love.
We've got these little cards to write their dog's owner, the dog's name, and their birth. Look, we have these two little cards for each of the dogs, and we can name them, give their owner's name, and give their birthday. That is so cute, right?
Yes, baby, that works very well. I think it's pretty just like that.
Mommy,
so, yeah.
Mommy, we got her sippy bottle.
Oh, very nice.
And it even squeezes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Thank you. I think I love that. So if you're not familiar, the Runwright Reads book club reads books by Caribbean authors, and our selection for February was Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. We had our book club discussion on Sunday evening via Zoom. We meet on Zoom the last Sunday of every month, although I think I may change that just because some of our members are being pulled towards another book club discussion. Egads! How could they? In any case, our selection for March is The Girl with Hazel Eyes by Callie Browning. So if you're interested in reading books by Caribbean authors, check us out. I'm on top of the world looking down on creation. It's the only explanation I can find. It's the love that I found ever since you've been around. 2 more days until your holiday.
And Thursday I have my trimester assessment.
Thursday is your trimester assessment?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you excited? You're gonna get 100?
Yeah.
And then?
Surprise!
And then you're gonna get your surprise. I love it. Okay, have a great day. So the weekend is over and I finished 3 books. Not exactly the 3 books that I thought I was going to finish. Well, kind of. They were primed to finish. So I finished The House of Eve by Sadiqa Johnson. This had been sent to me by the publisher Simon & Schuster when it was first published in 2023. And I had started reading it, but I never finished. So I was really happy that I returned to it and I loved it. This one is set in 1950s Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. And we're reading about 2 African-American young women who have very high aspirations for their future. And because of their circumstances, whether or not they're able to realize those ambitions is questionable. But to complicate matters, they both get involved in relationships that could thwart those ambitions, and we get to see how the person that you get enamored with has a really big impact on what choices are available to you and what happens next. Because of the time period, we see a little bit of the struggle of African Americans trying to get equality. We see what segregation and prejudice means as it is being experienced by people who are disenfranchised. And one of the things that I really enjoyed in this book is how the author Sadiqa Johnson showed the progress that is being made in recognizing African American accomplishments and like people who are everyday heroes, like people who are heroes in just their regular line of work and who we may never hear about during Black History Month. So I really enjoyed this one. I finished Roman Year by Andre Asselman, which is a candidate for the BookTube Prize, so I can't tell you too much about it. I will say that this chronicles his experience leaving Egypt and going to Italy as an adolescent. Want to hear more about my thoughts on this book? You're going to have to come back for the vlog that I make when I talk about my reading. When I talk about my experience judging the prize. I also finished this buddy read, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. It probably wasn't the right time for me to read this. This was a reread, and I buddy read this with two friends, and we had a lot of thoughts about how Mark Twain portrays Jim, the enslaved black man who is trying to fight for his freedom, and on whom the book James by Percival Everett is based. It's difficult to read about Twain's portrayal of Black people, especially during Black History Month. That's why I'm saying it's probably not the right time to have read this book. Some of the language, some of the statements, some of the thought process about people of African descent, it just feels hurtful. It feels like the prejudice is never necessary, but like his use of the N-word, it just feels unwarranted. Like they're just places where it's just so much. It was so hard to read. But the book is actually pretty short. And what I really love about this book, because this is my husband's copy, it is more of a scholarly edition, and so there are critical statements in the back, which I haven't gotten to yet, but it also has a lot of the illustrations that were included in the first edition. So and I tell you, some of the pictures also might infuriate readers. So I don't know if the pictures make the book better or not. If you haven't yet read Huckleberry Finn, brief synopsis. Huckleberry is a young boy living in, I think, in the 1850s in the South in the United States. He's been living with a woman who's trying her best to raise him in a Christian way because his mother has died and his father is a drunkard who is also very abusive. And Huck has some kind of an inheritance that I think helps to support him, but he is always at risk because people are always trying to manipulate him to get what he has. And so he decides to leave home. He puts in motion this elaborate ploy to get away so that nobody will look for him. And on his way, trying to run away, he meets up with a young man, Jim, who is also escaping enslavement. And so both of these are fugitives for different reasons. And we read about their adventures as they're trying to make their way to a different place, as they are trying to get freedom from the different kinds of bondage. So there is a lot of similarity between Huck and Jim, but there's also a world of difference because at all points, Jim is considered to be an enslaved man, and everyone's first impression of him is based on the color of his skin. The same way their first impression of Huck is that he is a young white boy and he should be protected because of the color of his skin. So if you haven't yet read this, but you've read James, I don't know if you want to return, if you want to go backwards and read this to see why maybe the portrayal of Jim, giving Jim some humanity and agency, is probably necessary. I can't wait to share my thoughts with you when I read James. But for now, I finished The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So these are the 3 books that I finished this weekend. I made a little bit of progress on The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, so I will continue reading this. I'm not sure if I'll finish it before the end of Black History Month, but I'll continue reading it anyway because I have it on a list for a book challenge that I'm doing. So I will continue reading this 500+ page book, and I'll finish whenever I finish. And then I also wanted to read Running While Black by Alison Mariella Desir, and I've had it for a while, and so now it's overdue at my library. So I think I may just return it to the library and then re-request it so that I'll bring it back in an upcoming vlog. I did want to finish this during Black History Month, so when I go to the library, I'll see if I can just drop it off maybe and renew it, and then I'll continue reading it at some point soon. But yeah, I definitely want to read this. I want to get back into running. It is actually warmer here today in New York than it's been in the last few weeks. So it's making me think about getting back to running and reading a book about running while black, subtitled Finding Freedom in a Sport That Wasn't Built for Us. Definitely sounds like one of the things that will just give me the extra motivation that I need to lace up my sneakers and go for a run. So I want to come back to this. So stay tuned for maybe hearing more about this in an upcoming video. And so yeah, those are the books that I am still working on. And these are the books that I finished. So thank you so much for watching, and until we come back for another video, happy reading. Bye.